Welcome back to the Inner Citadel. And today we are talking about probably Krishnamurti's most famous phrase: the observer is the observed. If you have been around spiritual teachings at all, you have heard this. It gets quoted everywhere. It's an Instagram graphics with sunsets in the background. But here's the thing, I don't think most people actually know what it means. I didn't for the longest time. And Kay knew this. He would say this phrase in talks, and you could feel the confusion in the room. People would nod like they understood, but if you asked them to explain it, they would give you some vague, mystical answer. So today, I want to break this down as clearly as I can, not with mystical language, but with actual examples from real life. Because this isn't abstract philosophy. This is about why you are in conflict with yourself right now, today. Let's get into it. Okay, so first, let's look at what we normally do, how we normally experience ourselves. There is a sense of me, the one who's watching, thinking, deciding, and then there is everything else: my thoughts, my emotions, my desires, my problems. So you feel like there's you, and then there's your anger, or your fear, or your anxiety. Two things, right? The observer and the observed, the subject and the object, the thinker and the thought. This seems completely obvious. Of course, I am separate from my anger. I am the one experiencing the anger. I am the one watching it, feeling it, maybe trying to control it or understand it. This is how we live constantly. There's me trying to deal with my problems. There's me trying to control my thoughts. There's me trying to become better. And this creates what? Constant inner conflict. Because now you are divided. Now you are at war with yourself. I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be afraid. I need to be more patient, more loving, more spiritual. The I trying to fix or change or improve what itself. But it isn't feel like itself. It feels like something other, something separate. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say something unjust happens to you. Maybe someone betrays you or you lose something you worked hard for. I don't know, maybe something you love and you lose. Anger arises, hate, intensity, maybe violent thoughts. This is anger. Now, what do we normally do? We create a division. There's a me, the observer, and there's this anger, the observed, the thing I am experiencing. And immediately thoughts start. I shouldn't be this angry. This anger is bad. I need to let it go. I need to be more spiritual. I should be above this. Or maybe the opposite. I have every right to be angry. This is justified anger. I should express it. Either way, whether you are condemning the anger or justifying it, you are still divided. There's still you relating to your anger as if they are two separate things. And what happens? Conflict. The anger doesn't go away just because you condemn it. It might get suppressed, pushed down, but it's still there, festering. Or you justify it and it becomes this identity. that I am an angry person, I was wronged. Both create suffering. Now, here's what K is pointing to, and it's subtle. What if the you, the observer, the one who's watching the anger and trying to do something about it, what if that you is the anger? Not that you are watching anger, but that the division itself, the you, separate from your anger, is an illusion created by thought. Let me say that again because this is where most people get lost. There's anger. That's a fact. Energy, heat, intensity in the body. But then thought comes in and says, I am angry, or I have anger, or I am experiencing my anger. Now you have created two things where there was only one. You have created an observer and an observed, a subject and an object. But K is saying, look closely. Who is this I that is angry? Where is it? Can you find it separate from that anger itself? When you look, really look, not with more thought but with actual attention, what do you find? You find there's just anger, no separate you experiencing it. The you that claims to be experiencing anger is made of the same movement of thought that creates the anger. The observer is the observed, not philosophically, not as a concept, but as an actual fact. Now, this is where people get confused, especially if you have studied Advaita Vedanta or other traditions. Because in those teachings, there is this idea of the witness, the pure consciousness that watches everything but remains untouched. You are the witness, not the thoughts, not the emotions. And at first, the observer is the observed. Sounds similar. Like you identifying as the observation rather than being separate from it. But K is saying something more radical. He is not saying you are the witness. He is saying there is no witness separate from what's witnessed. In Advaita, there is still someone there, the pure self, the Atman, watching everything but untouched by it. There is still subject and object, however subtle. K is saying even that witness, that sense of pure awareness watching, that's still a thought. That's still the observer trying to stand apart from the observed. True seeing has no observer at all. When anger is there, there is just anger. Not pure awareness watching anger. Not the self untouched by anger. Just anger seen completely. And in that complete seeing, where there is no division, no observer trying to do something about what's observed, something totally different happens. But what happens? What happens is that what remains when the observer observed division collapses. This is where language breaks down because we are so used to thinking in terms of me experiencing something. But K would say, just look, don't accept what I'm saying. Look for yourself. When you are angry and you are not trying to suppress it, not trying to justify it, not trying to understand it or analyze it. When you are completely with the anger without the observer standing apart from it, what happens? The energy that was locked in conflict is freed. Because all the energy that goes into me trying to deal with my anger, that whole structure, when it collapses, that energy is released. And what you might find is that the anger completes itself. Not because you resolved it or transcended it, but because without the observer maintaining it, without the story about my anger and what it means, and I shouldn't feel this. Without all that, the anger just moves through. It's like a wave that arises and subsides when there is no one claiming ownership of it. Now let's bring this back to our actual life, because this isn't just about anger. This applies to everything you are in conflict about. Your fear about the future, confusion about what to do, desire for something, resistance to something else. And all of it, there's this division about me dealing with my problem. And that division is the problem, not the fear itself, not the confusion, but the split between the one who's confused and the confusion. Take career confusion, for example. There's confusion, that's a fact. Don't know what to do or what path to take, what the right move is. Normally, it's like I am trying to solve this confusion. This I need to figure it out. This I need to find the clarity. But what happens? The confusion doesn't end. It just creates more anxiety, more mental noise, more seeking for answers. But what if the I that's trying to resolve the confusion is the confusion? What if the seeking for clarity is what remains and maintains a lack of clarity? When you see this, not as a concept, but actually see it, then what? Then you are just with the confusion, not trying to resolve it, not running away from it. And from that being with, from that not knowing without the one who demands to know, action can arise that's not born of conflict. Look, I'm not saying I've got this figured out. I'm exploring this in real time, just like you. But what K is pointing to is what the observer is the observed really means. It's not mystical, it's not some peak experience you achieve. It's just seeing that the division between the seer and the seen, between you and your problems, between the thinker and the thought, that division is created by thought itself. And when you see that completely, not intellectually but actually see it, something shifts. Not because you made it shift, but because the whole structure of conflict was built on that division. When the division is seen through, the conflict can end. Anyway, that's what I wanted to explore today. If this resonated, or if you have a completely different take, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you up in the next one.